Hello world. Growing up, I never had a console or a gaming PC. My father used to work in another city and the only gaming device I had was his laptop, which I could only use once in 2 weeks when he used to visit us, and even that wasn't guaranteed.
I always loved video games. It was always my passion. The only thing I had for gaming besides that dad's work laptop was my Nokia cell phone. I've played so many Java games on it, and it was amazing. All these high-end PCs and consoles were something unattainable for me during that time. I bought my first ever console in 2018. I remember how I collected some money from my 16th birthday and combined it with my savings. The feeling was out of this world. Also, it was mixed with that weird fear of my dad's reaction, who's been always against me playing video games and having gaming devices. Eventually, he didn't really say much. Only one thing that I remember clear as a day. Now we'll see how you deal with your exams. That felt strangely uncomfortable, but I was still happy as hell having my dream console, PS4 Pro. Since then, I've finished almost every PlayStation exclusive and all of them were spectacular. All that made me a huge Sony fan. My favorite video game ever, The Last of Us. But there were so much more. Uncharted, Infamous Second Son, Ratchet & Clank, God of War, Spider-Man, and many more. I was waiting for PS5 like never before. Pre-ordered it a few months before the launch and was just counting days till its release. It finally arrived and I was happy as a kid again. It was my first ever console I got at its launch.
And for the first time, I gotta admit, everything was amazing. We got so many new games. But as of today, a lot has changed. I bought this PC like a year ago, and without me even noticing, it became my main gaming device. Now, the only time I use my PS5 is when I play some games with my cousin that do not support crossplay feature because he only got PS5. And there's a lot of reasons for me why is it like that.
Lack of Sony's exclusives and their low quality. The last game that I was waiting for from Sony was Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and it was in October 2023. After that, we got Helldivers 2, which is on PC as well, Stellar Blade, Concord, Astrobot, Lego Horizon Adventures, and the remake of Until Dawn. Helldivers is amazing, don't get me wrong, but you can still play it on PC with higher specs. Stellar Blade wasn't my cup of tea, so I haven't tried it. Concord was a huge failure, one of the biggest Sony's failures ever. The moment I knew that this game exists, it was already cancelled. Lego Horizon and remake of Until Dawn is something that no one asked for, really. So the only Sony exclusive that I was interested in that period was Astrobot. And even though the game is excellent, one game in that long period is extremely insufficient. Remember titles like Infamous, Bloodborne, Killzone, Jak and Daxter, Twisted Metal, and many more Sony's exclusive IPs we used to have. Where are all of them now? It's really sad that we are missing on so much games and Sony not doing anything about it. It feels like most of the exclusives we are getting lately are made with the same instructions, and even though I love most of them, they really do look and feel very similar. Graphics wise, gameplay, storytelling and characters are made like developers try to fit in this new Sony frame.
And it's really disappointing seeing PlayStation in that position, especially compared to what we used to have at the times of PS1 to PS3, when everything was the opposite way.
Sony exclusives on PC. The last couple of years, Sony been actively porting its games on PC. And don't get me wrong, I do not like exclusiveness and not being able to play certain games on the platform I want. Well, this might sound like a double standard, but regardless of how great it is, it actually kills one of the biggest reasons to play on PS5, as you can play all these games on PC now. Again, with better performance and graphics. Does it cost you more to build a high-end PC to play all that? Yes, absolutely. But PC is not just for the video games. It can be used for much more purposes, so that price can be justified.
But what can be justified is PS5 Pro's price and the performance bump it gives. That is ridiculous. Another poor decision making from Sony. Talking about decision making, let's move on to the very reason of all these failures. Sony's management.
PlayStation has a new CEO again, kind of. On Tuesday evening in the US and the early hours of Wednesday in Tokyo, Sony Interactive Entertainment announced that Hideaki Nishino would be the sole CEO of the video game company, following less than a year of serving as CEO alongside Herman Holst. At the time, the two were appointed as dual successors to former PlayStation chief Jim Ryan in May 2024. Sony touted its faith into the dual CEO, not co-CEO model, with Nishino overseeing business and platform operations and Holst heading up the studio and development side. Now the company is backtracking on that strategy, and PlayStation consumers and the company's competitors are left wondering why. So firstly, let's talk about Herman Holst a little bit more. Herman Holst is the CEO of SIE Studio Business Group, president of PlayStation Studios, former managing director of Guerrilla Games, and executive producer of PlayStation Productions projects. During his time at Guerrilla, Holst played a key role in the development of the Killzone series and supported the studio's transition to Horizon Zero Dawn. So with that information being provided, it's not a surprise why we got so much Horizon content in the last couple of years. Horizon Forbidden West, Horizon VR game, Lego Horizon, and now even multiplayer games on the way. And it's especially surprising regarding that back in February 2022, Sony stated it aimed to launch over 10 new live service games over the coming years. A month later, then Sony exec Jim Ryan said he believed live service games were a key part of gaming's future, confident in PlayStation's live service push. However, numerous live service games have been cancelled by Sony since then, including London studio co-op game, with the studio also shut down last year. In 2023, Naughty Dog cancelled its standalone multiplayer game set in the world of The Last of Us. Additionally, a live service Twisted Metal project at Firespite was cancelled. In March of last year, footage of a cancelled cooperative live service Spider-Man game from developer Insomniac titled Spider-Man The Great Web appeared online. While some live service projects still remain in the pipeline, in 2023, it was said Sony was uncomfortable about outgoing PlayStation boss Jim Ryan's pivot to games as a service.
Herman Holst's special feelings towards his ex-studio's franchise are obvious at this point, and I gotta admit, I love the fact that this man is not going to have that much authority anymore, and this is not just my view on it.
Companies are better suited with a single head at the top because for-profit organizations are not democracies necessarily. You can discuss and rely on each other and share responsibility, but you have to have some kind of sound division of labor. It just makes everything more efficient that way. I just don't think that on the long term you can have too many divergent visions. So in my mind, any kind of co-CEO setup generally feels transitory and eventually will fall back to a singular person in charge. Games industry analyst and NYU Stern School of Business professor Joost van Drunen tells Variety. And in my opinion, Herman Holst being the CEO of Sony's video game company was a big mistake, which caused a lot of troubles Sony having today.
In conclusion, I want to say that even though PS5's role in my life in the last year was not the same as it used to, I still believe that everything can be changed and that it's not too late for Sony to do that. But we'll talk about it later in the next video with more details. For now, this is it for this video. If you liked this video, I would very much appreciate if you could leave a like, comment, and maybe even a subscription. If you want to see more videos like that, I will be filming videos about gaming, tech, consoles, PC, everything, portable PCs, so like whatever I like, right? Even TV shows, animes, and like everything. So if you want to support me, I would be very glad if you could leave that subscription, comment, and like. I would also be very glad to talk with all of you guys in the comment section, as I said before. So if you could leave the comment, that would be absolutely great. For now, this is it. Goodbye, world.